It's time for RTB 101, where we discuss practical questions to equip you to share your faith more effectively. And here to help me talk about a very provocative question is one of our visiting scholars at Reasons to Believe, Mr. Mark Perez. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Now, I know that you contributed a chapter to our recent book, Thinking About Evolution. Maybe you can tell our viewers a little bit more about the purpose of your chapter and kind of your unique contribution to the book.
Sure. Since the book was really designed to help people understand different questions about the theory of macroevolution, or at least one of theories, it was important for me to see that, to help people recognize that when you're looking at these kinds of very important questions, there are times when errors in reasoning will occur. And if you know what those errors in reasoning are, you can identify them, you can help eliminate them and clarify some of the points that will actually mislead you. And so it actually looks at how can we avoid the fallacies that mislead us into problems that actually lead us to things other than what's true.
Very good. And the idea of fallacies might be new for some of our viewers. You briefly alluded to it there as an error in thinking. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, expand that idea a bit.
Sure. A fallacy is an error in reasoning that does not look like a mistake in reasoning. And it often goes by really quickly. People will hear it and then not recognize it. And that becomes the problem. Is if you deduce something or you make a claim that's fallacious and you use a mistaken reasoning, you can't rely on that reasoning for the conclusion. So it's important to ferret that out and to recognize that that is a fallacy, a mistaken reasoning that will lead you to the wrong conclusion or doesn't justify the conclusion that you've made.
So the fallacy that we're going to look a little bit more in detail in is kind of what I think it's called the false dilemma fallacy, or maybe the either or fallacy. Maybe you can talk to us in particular about that mistake in thinking.
Yes, it's pretty obvious in some cases that you have a false dilemma. So a faulty dilemma, the either or fallacy, depending on how you want to look at it, can occur in something as simple as a parent talking to a child. So the parent says, either you go to college or you're going to be worthless. Well, is it really either one or the other, or is there something else in there too? So that particular argument is a faulty dilemma, that it's either this or that. And so when you have things that are in question in the evolution creation debate, you can end up with some either or problems there too.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because this kind of false dilemma, it sometimes it overlooks a third option. Well, maybe there's another possibility available. How do we see this fallacy show up in the creation evolution controversy?
It shows up, first of all, because the two sides aren't necessarily the only two sides involved. So one of the first things, if you say it's creation versus evolution, which version of evolution are you talking about? Which version of creation theory are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And then if you're going to juxtapose just two of them, then the question is it either one or the other, or is it really a third option? Is it possible that there are some aspects of creation theory that can fit in with evolution theory? Or is it possible that some features of evolution theory will fit in with creation theory? And that you can end up with some kind of hybrid or some kind of third option that is different from either one of the two as exclusives. So that faulty dilemma can end up preventing us from looking for other options. It's a fallacy because there are so many possible options. And we don't want to use that fallacy to restrict ourselves. We want to open ourselves up to the possibility that the truth may be somewhere other than the two ends that we often see juxtaposed.
That's really important, because you're raising the issue that there are actually multiple definitions of evolution that can be in play. And there's also different understandings and definitions of creation. So there might be, another option available or some hybrid of options. So when we find ourselves in those discussions, rather than falling into the false dilemma trap, It sounds like we really need to have some clarifying conversations. Well, how are you defining these terms? And then to explore what are some other possibilities that might be available. All of that kind of assumes that we stay somewhat dispassionate in the conversation, wouldn't you say?
I would say that dispassionate would be ideal, but even if you're not dispassionate, even if you are very passionate, the thing you should be most passionate about is the truth. And if the truth is somewhere other than the two sides that are proposed, we got to go there.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mark. And I want to once again let everyone know to look for Mark's chapter in the new book from RTB Press, Thinking About Evolution, co-authored by Dr. Fuzz Rana, Dr. Anjanette Roberts, and Dr. Sue Dykes. You can find that book by going to reasons.org.